Hello and welcome to my show, Shuvra Deb with you, with me, your host, Shuvra Deb. In this show, I will be discussing mental health with the aim of raising mental health awareness in our community and in society as a whole. The genesis of the show is my own pivotal life-changing experience of being in a Category 5 hurricane back in 2017. That experience led me to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. I am hosting this show in order to let you know that you are not alone if something life-changing has happened to you from which you are struggling to heal. Shuvra Deb with you focuses on a range of topics relevant to mental health and to raising awareness of issues surrounding mental health. Hello everyone and welcome back to Shuvra Deb with you, where I help you to prioritise and look after your own mental health and that of those around you. As you all know, and for those of you listening in for the first time, my show is about raising awareness around the topic of mental health. I want us all to be living in a society where looking after our own mental health is no longer stigmatised, as is currently the case in many parts of society. Whilst my show is about raising awareness around the issue of mental health, I am not medically qualified and I'm not a mental health professional. If you need to seek professional help, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to do that, whether that's by calling your local national mental health helpline, reaching out to a mental health charity, seeing your GP or other medical doctor. On today's show, I am talking to the extraordinary Kari Jack, or KJ. KJ is a committed self-improver, if that's a word. I came up with it this morning, but I think it's a great label for KJ. KJ is a master mixologist. I've also given him that title. And he currently works as a bartender at Agua Restaurant here in the Cayman Islands. KJ, thank you so much for being here today.
Nice.
Welcome, welcome. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to come and talk to me. Please tell the listeners a little bit about you, your job, what drives you, what gets you passionate.
Okay. Hello, everyone. KJ here. So I am a bartender at Agua Restaurant currently. I've been doing this for 8 years. A lot of people call me a mixologist. Within the community, that's a bit of a taboo word. Just because, for me, I've been trying to break that down, why it is a taboo word. Just because it kind of puts a distance between myself and the guest. And as much as I respect that you respect what I do, I also want you to know that you can do what I do as well with practice. You can do it at home, you can do it on a basic level, you can do it at an expert level, but you can do it. I don't want to alienate anyone from what I do. I want you to appreciate it but not alienate it. But if you call me a mixologist, I'm never going to scoff. It's all good. But yes, as I said, bartender, been doing bartending for 8 years. Very passionate about it. Not necessarily from the angle that a lot of people think I'd be passionate about it. I actually don't drink, which is very interesting. I'll preface that by saying when I'm on holiday, I treat my life in seasons. So currently I'm in my work season, and during work, I don't drink because I see drinking as a celebration. Right now we're working, we're grinding. So there's nothing really to celebrate for me at the moment. Little wins, yes, but nothing for me to celebrate. I see it more from an artistic perspective. Growing up, I always knew that I was intelligent, drilled into me by my family, by my friends, by everyone. But I always gravitated towards the artistic side of the world. I wanted to implement my love for numbers, my love for art, my love for nerdy stuff like comics, etc., my love for food and drink. And bartending kind of found me. It really did. It was a space that I could be myself. I grew up in North London. I was in a place called Camden, where it was at the time the artistic capital of London. You had goths mixing with black people, mixing with Turkish people, mixing with Indian people, and all the stereotypes thrown in. And I say that proudly. There were so many stereotypes just thrown in, and we all blended together. Skateboarders mixing with the hip hop crowd. Do you know what I'm saying? And bartending, it really did have that. It was the first time where I interacted with people from the LGBTQ plus community on a daily basis. And even though I had no stigmatisms, I had no preconceived views, nothing like that. It just helped me to understand their plight a lot more.
Camden was such a mixing pot. used to hang about there when I was a student.
Yeah. It was. It still kind of is, but like everything, gentrification, tourism, etc., it's changed it in a way. Well, I feel like I'm waffling.
No, not at all. Not at all. I want to go back to something you said. Actually, you talked about seasons. So I love that. So as you say, different seasons in life, you're either building up to something, and then you take some time out and have a celebration. And
correct. Yeah.
Is that how you've viewed your life as well?
Yeah. So I try to. It sounds corny, but on the 1st of January or around that time, I sit down and I analyze how my life has gone for the past year and what I want to accomplish for the next year. And I'll write it down. I'll physically write it down.
Beautiful.
Within writing it down, I usually accomplish everything within the first few months, but then it means that you can move on to the next thing. When I say seasons, this isn't just in terms of work or my vocation. This is in terms of life. So it could be fitness. It could be keeping up with my friends, making sure to, because obviously I'm on the other side of the world, to my friends and family over there. It could be to do with work, compete in X amount of competitions, place here in a competition, make sure that you get a menu out and you've definitely improved on the last one. Focus on talking to X amount of people. This year, one of the things that I wrote down was practice happiness. That was something that I wrote down. I feel
make happiness a habit.
Yes, correct. Because in all honesty, this job is hard. It's difficult. It's like everyone, we all have our ups and downs within our work.
Sure.
And like everyone, my work takes up the majority of my time, whether good, bad, or indifferent. It just is what it takes. About 80% of my time, if not more sometimes. And I felt myself slipping into a dark place, resenting going to work every now and again, if not majority of the time. I was tired all the time, etc., etc. Now that was kind of self-inflicted, to do with the way I was taking care of myself, the way that I wasn't focusing on taking care of myself. And I also realized doing my research, I wasn't practicing happiness.
Right.
I feel like we as people, we've gotten into a habit of, if I complete this, then I will be happy.
Yes, we aim for the future. We set a goal, and that's what's going to make us happy, rather than being happy in the present moment.
Exactly.
What made you make that switch from realizing you're obviously extremely self-aware? So was it kind of like a gradual realization, or was this a moment where you sort of realized, you woke up and thought?
I often joke with my friends and say I'm a naturally cantankerous person. I say that comes from my Caribbean background. We like to complain a lot, but I'm also a very happy person.
Caribbean and British.
Exactly. We love it. We love it. Yeah. And also being the oldest, of 3 boys. I like things in a particular way. I'm very open to change, but I need you to justify it to me. Not necessarily in my own way, but I need to justify why we're doing certain things or why you're doing certain things, and then obviously I'll rock with it. But I say all that to say, sorry, let me get back in the car. I say all that,
I love these little tangents.
Yeah. I say all that to say, why am I saying all that? I say all that to say.
So happiness.
Yeah, happiness. Yeah. Why did I choose that? Yeah, I just felt myself being unhappy.
Yeah.
And I don't like the outside world affecting how I am. I like to change. I like to not force the change, but practice the change first. Practice how I want the world to be around me.
Changing
my perspective, and then see if that works. And then more than likely it will. Because if I change internally or change my habits, the world will acclimatize to the way that I want to see it. So if I practice happiness, if I choose not to be snippy, if I choose not to react in a certain way, if I take a breath and then react, people will more likely see that, or they'll experience that, and therefore next time they'll come to me in a different way, or that conversation might take a complete turn and go in my favor,
and you'll feel better.
Exactly.
And you'll bring that energy to the table with every interaction.
Exactly.
I mean, I always use driving analogies. I don't even drive that much. I try and limit my driving. But I suppose the perspective is that you're stuck in traffic, and we can either complain about it get irritated and irate about it and start tooting our horns, or we can sit back and think, okay, well, this gives me the opportunity to finish listening to the song that's on my playlist. This is it, that I'm enjoying. Just little perspective switches.
That's it. Exactly.
But along with that, so you seem from, I don't know you that well. We've met once, right? And this is the
second time.
Having a conversation. But I was so drawn to you that first time we spoke, and a lot of that had to do with your striving mindset. You always seem to be wanting to better yourself from wherever you're at, where you are at that point.
Yeah.
Is that something that you felt that you've always had, perhaps since as a child, or is this something that you've grown into and developed more recently?
So speaking to me, you'll often hear me talk about my family, specifically starting from my parents, my mum, my dad, and my grandparents. It was drilled into me from an early age that my grandparents came to England on a boat in the 50s.
Wow.
They came with virtually nothing.
Wow.
My granddad worked. Within the first year, he paid off his house.
Wow.
Yeah. He then gathered the money and brought my grandma over. My parents are first generation Londoners.
From where did your grandparents?
So on my paternal side, St. Vincent. Mm-hmm. From my maternal side, Barbados and Trinidad.
Right.
Okay, so right now I'm speaking about my paternal side because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
Literally stayed in their house 5 days a week when I was at school. My granddad, yes, is my granddad, second father to me, grandma, second mother to me when my parents were working. They had me at 27, so they didn't have me super early, they didn't have me super late either, but they were still 27. They were going out, doing their thing, etc., etc., working full time. So I stayed at my grandparents' house a lot.
Yeah.
Their hard work transferred onto my parents' hard work. My mum used to be a lawyer for Barclays. She has obviously a law degree, a master's degree. She now works for the Bank of England. She is head of currency. When I say currency, I mean paper currency. I don't mean the coins. So the new notes that are coming out in England with the king's head on it, she headed up that division.
Nice.
My dad, my dad just got a new job, but he is an entrepreneur at heart. And right now he is a head of HR at a big firm in London. I often say he works for a supervillain because he works for a firm that makes missiles. But yeah. So all that hard work has transferred onto me, right? I'm very privileged. I grew up a very privileged background. And like everyone, I think, or like most people in my position, as a teenager, took that for granted. But then you start to live in the real world. You leave university, you start to live in the real world. And luckily, all glory be to my family. When things weren't going my way, it wasn't because the life was hard. It wasn't because... No, sorry, it wasn't just because life was hard. It wasn't because everyone hated me or because the world was against me. Really and truly, it was either I wasn't working hard enough, I wasn't working efficiently enough, because it's not just about working hard, but it's also maybe your mindset just isn't right. Just let's start with that. You might be doing the right things, but you're not attacking it in the right manner.
What would you say is the right mindset?
It changes on a daily basis. Again, it's something that I see with my family. You get different things out of different people at different times. The right mindset might be slow and steady wins the race. The right mindset might be, let me drop this. This is not going to happen. Let me drop it. The mindset might be
quitting while you're ahead.
Exactly.
Something's not working.
Exactly. Yeah. The right mindset might be, I'm going to go all out and be ferocious.
Yeah.
You're going to see me.
I'm going to sink with the ship.
Exactly.
If it goes down.
That's it. You're going to see me today. But going back to the first one, it might be tactful. It might be soft and I like, actually, you know what? Let me change my answer. I like a mix of both. Within the heat of the moment, I will be very direct, very, very direct. I think that's why people like me. I'll be very direct. I would say, this is what I want. This is how we need to accomplish it. Let's get it done. Any questions, make sure that they are to the point questions. Yeah. If I've explained it to you multiple times, I need you to think. I encourage you to think about it. Myself as well. Think about it and then come back to me. After the fact, I realize that I can't talk to everyone like that. Some people don't like that. So I'll go back to them and say, I apologize for talking to you this way. That's just me and I'm still working on it. It was just the heat of the moment. Yeah. This is why I said this. This is why I said that. And again, throwing it back to my parents, my dad being first generation Londoner, different to his grandparents who never did this, raising 3 black boys. He used to be one of the scariest, not scariest. No, I've never been scared of my dad like that, but I respected him so much. And in the heat of the moment, like every parent, shouting, ranting, raving.
Happens.
Exactly. Half an hour later, Kari, you know I love you. First and foremost, I'm sorry for shouting. That in itself is very big. I thought that was normal. But then you grow up around your friends and they're making fun of their parents for never admitting when they're wrong. Yeah. When they are wrong, do you want some food? That's the kind of thing that's so...
Let me show you my love for
exactly,
food.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's little things like that that I took for granted that changed my approach to everything. But it's also learning from that as well. There was me and my dad were laughing the other day. There was a situation that happened when my grandma was still alive. And we often joked about my grandma not liking teenagers. As soon as you hit 13, didn't want to see you in the house. So there was one time I knew she was bored. We had all of our shoes in a room, and in the front of the house. She moved my shoes into my room. I came back from work. At the time, I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. I wasn't happy with life. I started ranting and raving. My dad then focused on me shouting at my grandma as opposed to what she did. Now, granted, I shouldn't be shouting at my grandma. Granted. But then he asked me, how would you deal with that? And I said, what I would do is I would check my son and I'd say, don't shout at your grandma. But then I'd also, if it was you or mum, I'd check you in front of mum and say, don't,
what's causing this?
Stop alienate. I can see what you're doing. Stop that. And he said, good. So you're learning from my mistakes. It's also about that as well. It's about analysing those situations.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said before, when you're not doing so well and you realise that it's almost self-inflicted because you've not been doing the self-care.
Yeah.
What kinds of self-care practices do you have?
First things first, it's speaking to yourself kindly but frankly.
I like that.
Don't lie to yourself, but also don't call yourself names. Don't beat yourself up. Next thing I will do is, what's the problem? What's the solution? We are solution-based orientated people in my community. What's the problem? What's the solution? The practices I have are going to the gym 5 days a week. That I think it's very common knowledge that not only will I get fitter from going to the gym 5 days a week, but mentally it clears my brain. It's my time to think, to be alone. My job is about people asking me for things on a minute to minute basis, not only from a guest, but from my work. Can you do this to me? Can you do that? What's this? What's that? Etc. etc. This is my time to be quiet and to push myself through physical pain, mental pain, etc. etc. Next thing is sleep. Sleep is very important to me. I'm a napper. I like to nap. That is also my time to myself as well. A good sleep has fixed a lot of my problems.
Yes.
And a lot of the time when I am feeling run down, this is in good and bad times, on holiday when I'm feeling like, why am I feeling anxious? It's because you're not sleeping, my friend. Like, sleep.
Yes.
Get good sleep.
All the alcohol intake.
That's it. Exactly. Next thing for me, and again, it's a privilege, speaking to my parents. I have open dialogue with my parents. Anything that I'm going through, whether that's work, women, mental health, etc., I know I can speak to them about anything. And they always find time for me and my brothers. And again, that's a privilege. And I guess the last practice that I do is, I've already mentioned, is writing things down. I forget a lot of things.
Yeah. So journaling.
Yeah, journaling. Not necessarily. See, here's the thing. I don't necessarily practice journaling, but I practice things that I deem important at the time that either need to get accomplished or need to get changed, or that that I need at the time for encouragement. I'll write them down. I'll put them on sticky notes. I will write them in my phone.
So affirmations. Write yourself.
It's important to see these, for me anyway, to see these things on a daily basis, but also to practice writing as well. I like to joke around that I was born in between that weird time when everything was either blackboards and then suddenly we had computers, etc. So I mean,
we must have been born about the same time.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like that.
Exactly. So it's like I remember the switch. I remember one summer we had the blackboard, and the next we had interactive whiteboard. That's it.
Just suddenly appeared. On
Exactly. But there's a beauty in that though, because I know I take advantage of all the electronics, but there's nothing like, for me, writing something down, because it's like my body physically remembers it.
Oh, brother, I'm the same.
Yeah.
I have a paper diary, and my friends all laugh at me. I send text messages and I'm furiously typing away, posting and doing this, that and the other. And then they ask me, can you do such and such? I'm like, hang on a minute.
That's it.
I just go and grab my paper diary and they start laughing.
This is it. We are click-clacking on our phones all day, every day, and sometimes it gets lost in the noise. Now, writing is something not everyone practices. So when you do practice it, it's almost like if you went to, I don't know, if you went to a theme park, you're going to remember going to a theme park as opposed to going to the bank.
Oh yeah.
It's something that just is going to stick in your brain, for me anyway, because I don't write very often. So I try to practice it that way.
Yeah.
And I guess my love for media in general listening to others, love listening to others' experiences, and actually taking it on board and trying to. It's very difficult when you're listening to self-help podcasts such as this one, or even podcasts in general, or watching videos on YouTube to take in everything and practice everything. Yeah.
No, especially I'm guilty of this on my shows. I put out so much information.
Yeah.
But I think the hope is that, maybe people will come back to it and re-listen, or maybe or if they're geeky like me, they'll be pausing it and making notes.
Hopefully,
or actually, the probably most likely thing, and I think this is true for all of us, if one thing sticks.
This is it,
And it's about incremental improvements, right?
This is it, yeah. I think, do you know what actually helps with that way of thinking in terms of incremental improvements? There's a book called The Slight Edge. I can never remember who it's by, but I remember reading that The Slight Edge, I remember reading that when I was 22 and I didn't quite know what to do with life. And basically the book says that practice something every single day, and every single day you'll do it for longer and longer, and you're on a curve that goes up, and as you keep practicing it, you're going to keep rising on that curve. One of my favorite phrases is, how do you eat an elephant? A bit a day.
It's what?
How do you eat an elephant? a bit a day. Yeah. And just in life, you see it every single day. You go to the gym, I can lift this much this day, and then the next day I can lift this much, and I can lift for longer.
Weeks or months later,
this is
you're up to the next level of the weights, and so it carries on.
Exactly. I like a TV show. I might watch one episode a day. Oh wow, this is getting interesting. All right, cool. I'll watch 2. Next thing I know, I'm binging
it takes time.
Yeah,
and I think in our fast consumerist society that we're now in, where everybody wants a quick fix, everybody wants a diet pill, or they want an immediate result. It doesn't work that way, and the gym is the perfect example. You'll start with the 5 kilo dumbbells, and then, I mean, for me anyway, it took me months to get to the 7 kilos, and months again to go up to the 9, and then sometimes I'm back down to the 7 or the 8, depending on what zone I'm in that day, what season I'm in. And it's about
nice.
And it's about, I suppose, being aware of needing to commit and then stay committed, rather than hoping for a quick solution.
This is it.
A quick fix.
And that's hard. That's hard. I don't think we impress on people.
Commitment is difficult.
It's very difficult.
To anything.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. But we have to remind ourselves to stay the course. And this is not me speaking as somebody who's won in life, and I've clocked every level.
You've achieved a lot in life by doing what you've done. So moving on to that, tell us a little bit about your education and your job background. And this is fantastic, fascinating.
All right, cool. So as I said, I'm very privileged. I went to private school. I got my what we call GCSEs. They I don't know what the equivalent would be, but you get those when you're 16? 16, you get those when
you're... I think it's the International Baccalaureate.
That's it. All right, cool. Get those when you're 16. I got 9 of those throughout a range of subjects, A to C. Then I moved...
Same as me.
Yeah, perfect. See, we're one the same. I love that. Yeah, we're vibing. Next, we went on to college or high school, and I got my A-levels, and they were not very good at all. They weren't... No, actually, no. I got BCC, which is pass.
That's respectable, yeah.
It's respectable. But from my background, I should have done so much better. I think A-levels was the hardest thing I've ever done in life.
That's a steep learning curve. I remember that.
Hardest thing. Then I moved on to university, and I got my bachelor's degree in economics and philosophy. I got, what did I get in that? Oh, I got a 2-1. Got a 2-1. My bachelor's degree. Then I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I did my master's degree in philosophy, and I got a distinction in that. Throughout this time, from the age of 16 to 21, I was working in retail. I sold trainers or sneakers. That was I loved that period of my life. Then I came back for my master's degree. I did my master's degree in Amsterdam, came back to London. No idea what I wanted to do. Thought I wanted to get into music. If I'm honest with you, I think there's going to be a period of my life where I do get into music. I want to be an A&R. But for now, I'm focused on the bartending thing. So I did a plethora of jobs. I worked as a TA in a music college.
What's a tertiary?
No, a teaching assistant.
Teaching assistant.
Yeah, teaching. So I'm not quite a teacher, but I'm helping the kids out, etc. I'm still working in retail. I am working for a recording studio where I'm helping artists to come in and record, but I'm also putting on events for this recording studio as well. By the way, this is all at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and
That's
then
what's so incredible and fascinating that you just, again, committed to all of these.
Yeah, because
jobs.
I thought I needed the experience. I just didn't know how to get into where I wanted to get into. I'm still looking at this point. I'm still looking for an internship at an actual label, and I'm not getting there. I mentioned 4 of the jobs. 3 of them are unpaid. So I'm traveling around London, and the only thing that's funding me is my is selling the sneakers or selling the trainers. And for a 22-year-old, yes, who's living at home, it's great pay, but I'm bouncing around London, so I'm
it takes time to travel.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I got another job in the newly reopened Jazz Cafe in Camden. Yes, 2014.
Great place.
Yeah. Didn't know what I wanted to do there. I just knew I wanted to get in there, talk to artists, etc., etc. Had no background in hospitality. They took me on as a steward, which is almost like a glorified bouncer, where I couldn't
It's a
actually
really
touch
hard
anyone.
job to get, because Jazz Cafe is highbrow.
Yeah.
Difficult to get in.
Yeah, I was just talking to the lady who was interviewing, and she called me back and she said, I can't really offer you anything in terms of like server or anything like that, but we had this position. You're good at talking to people. I really enjoyed that conversation. So yes, I wore a high-vis vest and I walked around, talked to people, stayed in the green room, talked to artists, etc., etc.
Wow.
During the training, 2-week training before we reopened the venue, I saw they were training as bartenders. I saw that one guy was training bartenders. I said, can I jump in? I just want to learn. He's like, yeah, cool. Learned the basics, trained with them. It was all good. About 2 months doing the stewarding thing while working all the other jobs, running around London, passed. And then one day, the guy's called Luke Ridge. He's actually on Ireland right now, actually. Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah. He came up to me with a bottle opener and a pen, and he said, you're going to need these. I said, why? Because I just came in, I had my vest on, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Said, I need you on the bar.
Nice.
Jumped on the bar, and that's where the journey started.
Yeah, just got thrown in. They were short staffed.
Yeah, exactly
Right.
that.
And that's how these opportunities arise all the time. Unexpected encounters and moments, people asking us to step up.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I jumped on the bar. I said, I can do this. I can do it. I loved it. It was wicked. I was shaking. My gift of the gab got me through a lot of situations. Didn't know anything about spirits at the time.
Wow.
But I was like, yeah, I can do this. But even then, at the time, I didn't see it as a viable career.
Right.
I saw it as something. I saw it as, okay, cool, I'm making a bit more money now.
Yeah.
Cool, I can now fund everything else.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, just to go back to the subject of the podcast, I had a breakdown. Maybe about a year and a half into doing everything I was doing. It's because I wasn't sleeping.
Right.
I was working the days selling sneakers or TAing or doing the music studio thing. I was working nights at Jazz Cafe.
That's a lot.
I wasn't able to sit down and plan anything because when I wasn't doing that, I was sleeping. And I wasn't getting good sleep because it's such a basic thing. But where my parents lived, it was bright. So when the sun came up and the way that I was just awake, so I wasn't sleeping. I physically had to break it down at home, like tears. I don't cry. I'm not crying about tears. I was shouting, ranting, raving. But again, to my parents, they sat down with me and they watched me. They walked me through it. They taught me through it, etc., etc.
Amazing.
I literally remember thinking, after all those tears come out, I was like, I feel better. Okay, cool. I understand why people cry now. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's such a release.
But I think this might be the first pivotal moment of life. What's the solution? The solution here, or what's the problem? Problem is you're tired, you're overworked, etc., etc. What's the solution? Solution is get more sleep. How are you going to get more sleep? You're going to need to drop some of these things.
Yeah.
You're not making as much money as you should be or as you could. Why are you not doing that? It's because you're committing to too many things. What needs to get dropped? The thing that's making me the most money and the thing that I'm enjoying the most is bartending. Commit to it. Went to my parents. I want to be a bartender. I remember their faces. We just put you through 4 years of university. Okay, cool. This is okay. I think they were just happy that I had a plan at the time.
Yeah, especially having seen you have your break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me take out the word just. They were happy that I had a plan.
Yeah.
And they let me rock. They let me rock with it. And again, a testament to them because they could be like, no, you're not doing that. We've watched you do your thing for a year and a half.
So many parents would exactly react in that way.
It's time for you to jump on this because at the time my mum was working for the Bank of England. I'm putting you in this. I'm making you do that, etc., etc.
Sure.
But they let me rock, and every year we improved, and now I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And again, so blessed that your parents were there to be able to help you through that.
For real. Yeah.
And I suppose, gosh, a lot comes out of that. So you're doing a lot of jobs, most of them you're doing for free, and you're doing that to get experience.
Yes.
So to younger people who may be listening, if they need direction, if they feel like they're not quite sure where they want to go in life, where they are going in life, what advice would you have for them?
I think, and this might sound verbose or big-headed, but find somebody like me who wants to listen but also analyze you from a very objective perspective. I don't know the majority of people I talk to. I talk to young people quite often, actually. I get sent my way by my brothers and by my parents. And I don't know them, but I ask them, what do you like? What don't you like? That's the first thing. Start with what you like.
Yeah,
a lot of people think that, okay, cool, I see it on TV, let's become a lawyer. But if you don't like talking, you don't like reading.
Yeah, you don't like research, you don't like long hours, you don't like difficult
this is what I'm saying.
Cases, judges, opponents.
Yeah, if you don't like confrontation, full stop, don't do it.
Yeah.
There is a job out there for everyone. First of all, start with what you like. Next thing, start with what you've done. Or next thing, next thing, focus on what you've done. Focus on the experiences you had. We've all had experiences. Whether that's waking up every Sunday and cleaning the house. If you like doing that, commit to it. You can make money from if you like using your hands.
Yeah, janitorial.
That's what I'm saying. Become a carpenter if you like using your hands, etc., etc. We often try and go for like what we perceive to be the top, the elite.
Yeah.
But there are things that
comes from society so much. Be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an accountant. That's certainly what I was drilled, had drilled into me growing up.
This is it. But I know people who are working with wood every day, the happiest people on earth, and they're making good money because they're making custom chairs and tables for people.
And it's a skill that's always going to be needed. We're always going to need tables and chairs.
This is it. But then let's say, okay, cool, I don't want to do that. But you like drawing. Architecture. Do you know what I'm saying? It's these things that we overlook in life. Our talents that these, whether they're big or small, tangible or intangible, that can get you far. That's the advice I'd definitely give to young people. I had that in my life. I had a lot of people sitting me down and saying, what is it you're good at, etc. You're good at this, you're good at that, telling me that I'm good at this and good at that. And it did take me a while because it wasn't resentment. It was more, I want to see if I can do this by myself. I don't know what word you use for that, because I did feel super privileged and I didn't want that to be my defining moment. But also, actually, no, that's another, don't be like me. If people want to help you, accept that help and run with it. If you have an opportunity, take that opportunity.
Oh gosh, if somebody offers you work experience or a work shadowing opportunity or a part-time job or a full-time job, grab it with both hands.
This is it.
Yeah.
And prove why you're meant to be there.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, it's still experience.
This is it.
In the grand scheme of, the 75, 80, 90 years we're alive, a couple of weeks or months or even years here and there is not really the end of the world.
I want to add a caveat though. Try everything. Because there are things in life that I didn't know that I liked, that I love. And
don't be afraid to try new things.
This is it.
Along with try everything.
This is it. I mean, there's a guy who I work with right now called Giacomo. He had never done, he was like me, never done hospitality before, clever guy, 18 years old. He's over here for a few months. He could be one of the best bartenders I've ever seen. And when I say that, I don't mean in terms of creation, I don't mean in terms of flair, as in throwing bottles up and down. Just his persona on the bar. He's very soft. He listens. He's very efficient. He could fly in any venue that you put in him because he's so malleable. I don't think it's what he wants to do, but now he has a new skill under his belt.
Exactly.
He's the perfect example of everything that we just said. So if
he's learning to have communication skills.
This is it.
Different contexts with different types of people.
This is it. He's learned. One of the things I say on the bar is there's a lot to do, but if we're efficient about it, if we start one task and complete it, we're going to get through everything that we need to do in the day. That's whether it's making a round of drinks or if it's making 10 batches in terms of the cocktails. We're going to get through it because we're going to start one thing and complete it. And I can see it in his life. I see him, for example, when he's getting changed, for example, he used to just like throw everything around. He reminds me of my brother, throwing everything around. Now I see him putting everything away before he comes in, etc., etc.
Laying your clothes out the night before.
This is it. Exactly.
That's it. Have a system in place.
This is it. But as I said, now he's got a skill. So let's say he goes back to Italy and he doesn't have a job. He can message me. Can you write me? Can you write me a letter? Of course I can. It's now on your CV. You've worked in a very fast-paced restaurant on a bar.
Yes.
You've got a job, my friend, straight away. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, speaking of bars,
Yes.
do you have a favourite cocktail? You don't drink, but
Yeah.
you do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even without drinking, you may, because of your skill and your talents, you may have a favourite cocktail.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of a daiquiri.
Okay.
I love what on paper looks like a simplistic cocktail, but is so varied in everything.
Yeah.
So a daiquiri is 2 parts rum, 1 part lime, and half a part of simple syrup.
Okay.
That taste can change depending what simple syrup you use, what ratio simple syrup being sugar and water.
Yeah.
I use 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, and that's super sweet and super thick, so I don't need to use as much. But if I did 1 and 1, I'd have to use more sugar in order to be able to get the sweetness out.
Yeah.
Lime juice, is lime juice fresh? Is it fresh that day? Is it fresh that minute? Has it been allowed? Has the oxygen been allowed to touch the lime juice so it oxidizes and changes the flavor? The rum, where's the rum from? Is the rum from Havana? Is the rum from Barbados? Different flavors, different terroir, different yeast in the air, etc., really affect all these things. And you see it, and it's presented so delicately, but there's so much that's just gone into it. So I really like a daiquiri. But also, it's such an easy drink as well. Such an easy thing to drink. It just goes down so smoothly.
Yeah, I'm going to try it. I think I kind of always feel that it's a bit of a cliched drink, especially on an island. But maybe that's because I see all the flavoured drinks.
Yes.
What do you think of the flavoured version?
I don't really think much of it. I'm not an elitist in that way. I want to encourage people to make their own drinks. I want to encourage people to go out and experiment with drinking, not abuse it, but experiment with it. And if your in is a flavored drink, if your in is a porn star martini or a raspberry daiquiri, go and have that. Because when I do make you a porn star or a raspberry daiquiri, be like, this is not what I expected. This is completely different. Now I have love for this frozen daiquiri, but I also have love for this classic daiquiri. Okay, now I understand that part that I didn't like in the frozen daiquiri, that sweetness. Oh yeah, that's because I don't use artificial sweetener. Oh, okay, so that's what that was. Okay, cool, etc., etc., etc. I think that we need these yin and yang elements in everything that we do, whether you like it or you don't. We need it because
flavors, life, everything.
That's it. Exactly. We need it.
Yeah. Do you guys do cocktail classes?
What we are going to start doing, quick plug, I'm going to start doing dinners around the bar, which I actually want you to come to, by the way.
Yes, I'd love to come to that.
Dinners around the bar, cocktail pairings. I've got some fun things in mind. The first one's going to be on the 20th of next month. And
I'm here.
Perfect. And it's going to be a celebration of the new menu that we just launched. So we're going to be pairing the new menu with food from the kitchen. I mean, walking you through the drinks, walking you through the food. We're going to have interactive elements, etc. But I want to get weird and wild with it, man. I want to do a disco themed one. Best costume gets XYZ. I want to do a breakfast for dinner one where we start the first course is dinner and then we go down to breakfast for dessert. I want to do so much.
Brilliant. And this is Agua, everyone. Agua in Camana Bay, Cayman Islands, if you're just tuning in.
That's it.
That's
exactly.
exciting. And you've got a great space for the bar as well. So,
100%. But with that space as well, as I said, I want it to be interactive. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to do it, but in London, I used to get people behind the bar all the time. People who I liked. They've had 2 rounds with me. And they're like, how do you do this? I told them, come around the bar, come and make it.
I used to do that. I used to invite myself around the bar.
But it's fun. And it gives everyone an appreciation. It's wonderful. It gives me an appreciation for teaching again. Because I most of my work is muscle memory. I'm not going to lie to you. It's just me not having to think. It's just me having to think about how efficient can I be. Now I have to break it down to somebody who's never touched any of these tools before. It's also appreciation for you because I feel as much as people like going out, they don't know the work that goes into it. How strenuous it can be in terms of everything, in terms of listening and in terms of the calculations, etc. I think it's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, that actually brings me on to one of my questions, which is the whole internal behind the scenes working of a bar. I mean, it's something I've been quite fascinated about. So how does that work? Do you coordinate before you open for the day, for the night, and you pre-set tasks, or How do you sort of keep the tight ship running?
Let's start from the night that's just finished. Bottles are going to be empty. And when I say bottles, I mean pre-batch cocktails. So there's been a movement in the cocktail world where, for our house cocktail specifically, and potentially for your most popular cocktail, you will put everything that doesn't go off into one bottle. So that instead of me having to touch 5 bottles, now I can only touch 2 potentially, or 1 hopefully.
Yeah.
That way drinks go out quicker. I don't have to keep focusing on making things up, etc.
And the ratios, it's just all there and done. Yeah.
So with that comes, if let's say a cocktail is empty, that comes with spirits, that comes with pre-made ingredients, sometimes that comes with glassware, etc., etc. So the night before, we have to make sure the bar's completely clean. We don't want flies. We want to make sure that everything is organized. All the glasses are back where it needs to be. All of our tools are back where it needs to be, etc., etc. The bartender the night before will write a list. Let's take for example the espresso martini. Cool. Espresso martini is vodka, it's coffee liqueur, it's vanilla syrup, and it's coffee. Okay, fresh espresso. So let's say we ran out of a bottle of espresso martini. They'll write me a list saying, we've run out of vodka, you need to order some vodka. I'll have done that the night before. Everything else is here. We need to make X amount of this espresso martini batch. Cool.
Yes.
I'll come in the next day, I'll set up the bar, make sure the bar is all set up, I'll cut all my fruit, etc., etc. I'll look at this list and I'll say, okay, cool, we have to make espresso martini. I am very efficient in the sense that I have a book on the bar which has all of our house cocktails and a couple of our popular cocktails broken down into bottle batches. So instead of you having to calculate it at the time, you literally go through this book and it's like a recipe, and you just measure it out.
Just all that.
Exactly. So then we'll get a delivery of the vodka. You'll sign for that. You'll make sure to put everything away before we start anything else. Then you'll line up everything that you need. Just like cooking, we need to make sure that everything is there and we have everything, because let's say you start putting things in the bottle and you realize that you don't have any coffee liqueur or not enough coffee liqueur. That batch is not wasted. We can always top it up or etc. But we can't use that for the night because the ratios aren't on point. So we now have everything on the bar, and then it's just about measuring it out and pouring it into the bottle and then putting it where it needs to be, whether that's in the fridge, whether that's in the speed rail so that we can grab it quickly, etc., etc. And just apply that to everything, whether that's, again, an ingredient, whether that is a batch, etc., etc.
What happens when it gets crazy busy? I mean, that might not necessarily happen at Agua because it's a restaurant. And
oh no, it does. It goes. Just like everything in life, you just have to deal with it. You just this is where my philosophy of start something, complete something, move on to the next thing works, because
multitasking does not work.
It does not work at all, not on the bar.
Newsflash.
No,
really.
The thing is, this leaves you room to multitask, because let's say you come in with 5 of your friends and I'm halfway through making a batch. Everything is neat around me, so I can just push the batch where it needs to be, serve you guys, and then go back to doing what I'm going to do. But when it's crazy busy, things take priority. Lemon and lime juice are the first things that we need to do, because if I have to, what we call 86, which is make something not available. If I have to 86 a cocktail, preferably it'd be a house cocktail, as opposed to me not having enough lemon and lime juice to make a plethora of cocktails.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So that takes priority. Next thing after that will probably be, what would I do after that? Next thing, everything else. I would say start with the easiest things and then work your way down, whatever you perceive that to be on the day. And hopefully in a restaurant like ours, we have somebody there to help you, so that I'm serving but you're carrying on with whatever tasks need to be completed, and we just rotate.
Yeah, and you have different sections of the bar that each tender will look after.
Yeah, exactly. We have what we call stations.
Yeah.
So we have a we have station 1 / dispense station, where the majority of the cocktails will go out, and then we have the second station which serves the bar and will assist the first station when there's a big ticket, etc., etc.
Great.
Yeah.
So systems.
Many systems.
So with the various jobs that you've had, your working life, particularly the role as bouncer, going back to your jazz cafe days, what were some of the most kind of difficult or tense situations that you had to deal with, and how did you deal with those?
It's mostly entitlement. Yeah, it's mostly entitlement. I've worked in many different places, and entitlement comes in many different shapes and forms. So working in clubs, like I worked in a club called The Nest in a place called Dalston in East London.
Yeah.
Underground, smoky, hip hop and house music and stumping and young people, etc., etc. I'm young at the time, and the entitlement comes in. You get people pushing into the line.
Yeah.
And after people have been waiting for a long time, my thing to deal with that was because there wasn't set lines, it was just people crowded around the front of the bar.
Yeah.
I'll literally point at people. I'm going to serve you, then you. Now you know what's going on. People pushing into the front. Within this situation, I can be angry, KJ. So somebody pushes in. What are you doing? Move out my way.
Yeah.
Everyone, don't serve this person. Forget that. Shouting, swearing back at customers, etc. So I can do that.
Yeah.
There were times where I saw fights and I had to jump over the bar and stop fights. But that wasn't. It wasn't as mad as big brawls. It was literally maybe people having an argument. I can see something was going to happen.
Had
literally
just put my
just put my arm around somebody's shoulder and say, "Come with me. Just come. Just chat about it. What were you doing? You don't do that because I don't want you to get kicked out. You're cool, etc." So if they're not
a lot.
cool,
So you're managing the bar and it's super busy. And then you've also got another eye open to see what's going on further out to make.
To make sure that
don't start brawling.
I think from this job, I'm aware of everything that's going on. I know my surroundings very, very well. My head can be down, but trust me, I know what's going. If you do manage to catch me, if you do manage to catch me on guard, trust me, I'm focused, like only focus on this because it's very important. But trust me, I know what's going on. Going back to it, working in higher end places, the entitlement is because I've got money, I can treat people a certain type of way. Going back to my dad said, don't let anyone treat you any form of way. Have respect for people, but as soon as they show disrespect, you don't show disrespect back, but you make sure you let them know you can't talk to me like that. Doesn't matter if I'm here I'm here to serve you, and it's in the name. I'm here to show you a good time. I'm here to provide you what you want, but that doesn't mean that you talk to myself or more importantly to my team that way, because I've realized the way that I look, people aren't usually going to take advantage of me. Let's have it right. The way that I look and the way that I present myself. But there are people who you will try and take advantage of, i.e. younger women.
I was about to say, you're a well-built man.
I'm a big dude.
So different kind of experience.
Exactly. Men who are perceived to be weaker than, etc., etc. And within my character, you're not going to talk to me any type of way because I won't accept it. And if I do get in trouble for it, it's always justified. So those are the kind of things that I usually do. But that's very, very rare. It's very, very. I feel like it did happen a lot back in the day when people were trying to figure out this hospitality thing. But I think people know how to conduct themselves. Well, at least I would say 85% of people are raised properly. And they know their pleases and thank yous. They know how to talk to people. They know how to have general interaction. So nights usually go smoothly, if I'm honest with you.
That's great. So for anybody listening who wants to go into bartending, what advice do you have for them?
Okay, so it's so interesting. It's twofold. Go to a bar and either say, I want experience, or unfortunately, and we can cut this out if you want, lie about your experience and say that I've done it before, because the best way to do it is to learn on job.
We don't have to cut this out. I pretended to be the right age in order to get my first job in an ice cream parlor. Because these were, back in the day, more than 20 years ago, there was no internet.
No.
You could pretty much say what you wanted.
It. Exactly.
Even now,
Exactly. Now, I'm not
Although
saying,
actually, maybe it might, in a bar context, it might actually be illegal. So maybe not lie.
No, not age. Not age.
Okay,
I'm talking about
experience. Embellish. Not lie.
Embellish. Exactly. Yeah. So
and don't do what I did. Don't lie about your age.
Don't lie about age. Please don't lie about age, because you can get everyone in trouble.
Especially not in a bar. You can get everyone in trouble.
This is it.
Different to an ice cream parlor.
This is it. But the thing is, you can learn on the job. I can teach you how to be an efficient bartender within an hour.
Wow.
Now, when I say efficient, I don't mean doing everything that I do. I mean, I will give you these 2 cocktails that you will learn within this hour, and you will learn how to hold a bottle, you will learn how to pour properly, etc., etc. So I could probably give you all the spirit and mixer, or a lot of the spirit and mixer on a medium paced night with these 2 cocktails, and you'll be able to do it. But the best teacher is experience in the bar. I wouldn't advise people to go to bartending schools. Just from my own experience, if you feel confident to do that, then do it. But from my own experience, I learned from working.
There's no need necessarily.
No. But with that being said, there are qualifications that you can get. You can get your WSET, Wine and Spirits course.
Yes.
And that just gives you an insight into the world. Go and visit distilleries, go to bars, go and watch people work, ask questions, ask taste. Taste is a very, very, very big thing. Very big thing. If you come to me and you say, I've never bartended before, but you can tell me, but I'll ask you, okay, what do you like to drink? And you can say, I like this drink because it's sweet, but it's also got like a peppermint something in the back. I can be like, okay, cool. Your palate is trained. You're training your palate. And exactly. If anything, I would compare it directly to being a chef. We do we cook. We bake. We do all of that type of stuff. We have to be trained in our palate. So I think it's a 1-to-1 comparison personally. Now the pressures are different, of course, but for me it's a 1-to-1 comparison. And yeah, just be involved. Just be involved.
And doing other things as well. I mean, things that may not seem necessarily directly relevant to bartending, but working in retail, for example.
Oh, yeah.
You get to pick up the communications.
Correct,
service.
Yeah, correct.
It is to be of service to customers.
Knowing how to deal with people is very, very important, because I would say 70% of my job is dealing with people and interacting with people. Yeah. Learning how to who you can joke around with and who you can't joke around with.
Yes.
What kind of jokes read in the room. Learning how to get the information out of people, because some people just come and they're not really fussed, but you're having a busy night, so they'll come and be like, hi, how are you, etc., how are you doing, etc. What can I get you to drink? Oh, just make me whatever. I'm not a fan.
Does that actually happen? I thought that would happen in the movies.
Yeah, no, get it on a daily basis. So I'll say, no, what do you like to drink? What do you like to drink? I'm not too sure. What spirit do you usually drink? Perfect. Yeah. Cool. Now I can make you your drink. I know what spirit you like to drink. Just tell me that. Do you know what I'm saying? And retail teaches you these things. It teaches you how to be organized. It teaches you about time management. It teaches you how to interact with your colleagues, etc.
Your bosses.
Yeah.
And also voluntary work.
Voluntary, as in going to volunteer.
Whether it's for a charity or some other
I think that for me, when I did volunteer, because I like to go and volunteer.
Well, you did 3 jobs and you weren't being paid, so
I did I did it in like the more traditional sense as well, which was like working with homeless people, etc. It teaches you selflessness, and that kind of translates into my life. So it's checking up on people or seeing something for someone and saying, I'm going to buy that for that person. It's me seeing that somebody's busy on the floor and there's 2 tables that need to be cleared, me coming out from behind, even though it's not my section, coming out from behind my bar and cleaning it, and then not saying, oh, I did this for you, etc., just doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? And one of my
getting someone lunch if somebody's slammed at work.
Exactly.
And you've seen that they've worked through their lunch break.
This is it.
Whilst you're out picking up your sandwich,
this is it.
An extra one.
This is it. Yeah, one of the most fulfilling things in my work is when somebody at work comes up to me and says, Did you do that for me? I'm like, yeah, I did. Oh, thank you so much. I was so busy. So it's super, super fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we round off, do you want to tell the listeners again about the upcoming event on was it the 28th? 28th,
28th of this month, 28th of June, yes. Dinner around the bar, limited seats. We have 16 seats.
15, because I'm going to
15. There we go. I love that. Yeah. It's $115, and within that $115, you get 5 courses, 5 different drinks, and 5 different bits of food. I'll be walking you through the drinks, walking you through the food, how we made the drinks, how the food is made. We're having jokes, having fun. Hopefully I can get people behind the bar making drinks as well. I have a couple gifts that I want to give to people at the end of the night, and I have an almost Jeopardy situation which I'm kind of working on. But with that being said, this is the first one that I'm presenting. Agwa's done it before with other bartenders. I want us to evolve this together. What you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see. Do you have ideas for evenings? Because as I said, I want to do a disco evening. I want to do a couple other ideas that I have. But do you have ideas? Is there something that you'd like to help me to present?
It's very interactive.
I want it to be very interactive because my job is very interactive. And I want you guys to get the sense of that. I want you guys to go home and say, I enjoyed that so much. I want to put on my own event, or come back to
great venue. I mean, I'm just free plugging your restaurant here, but Agua is one of my favorite restaurants.
Thank you. I appreciate it. They worked very hard. So. The team is strong and they've worked really, really hard, and I'm proud to be a part of that team for real and have these opportunities to be able to do this.
That's beautiful.
So but I've got a question for you.
Okay.
How can people help support this platform? Because it's very, very necessary. So what can people do to help support this platform?
To support my podcast, well, this is also a radio show, of course. And if you are listening on the radio, then tuning in to the podcast, Shuvra Deb with you. And that's free and on demand on Spotify, Apple, Google, other platforms. And the episodes drop every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I do the radio show on the Thursday and then upload it to the podcast.
Oh, amazing.
I've done the show notes, and then that goes out on Tuesday. I don't know why I think I might have Googled when is the popular time for podcasts.
As you should.
You should. And Tuesdays was the day.
Tuesdays is the day.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
But what else can people do? I suppose, the kind of aim behind all of this is to destigmatize mental health and bring awareness around mental health care. And one of the things that I speak about quite a lot is having a mental health check-in buddy. Okay. So a buddying up system where, you and I could be each other's mental health check-in buddies. I'm going through a tough time. I let you know, and you regularly check in with me, whether it's by text or a telephone call or popping by or inviting me out to do things, just checking in on me, asking me questions. How are you feeling today? What did you have for breakfast? So that there's a requirement to answer. And it doesn't have to be anything, grandiose or difficult. Just often it's the basic things. Because I think when we're, when things are falling apart outside of us and then also inside of us, it's the basics that go out the window. As you say, the sleep quality falls away, the self-care falls away, nutrition falls away, hydration falls away. And it's easy to develop addictive behaviors, whether that's comfort eating, whether it's drinking, whether it's smoking, gambling, consistently watching box sets in order to distract one's mind. And then it's pulling ourselves out of that. And I think by having a buddy, that can be a way of doing it, to just have somebody gently coax the person back out. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. No, and there's more to come as well on this platform. I'm not going to say too much about it yet, but stay tuned.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, well, with all of that, thank you so much for coming and appearing on my show. And it's been fascinating. I've enjoyed our conversation so much. And I want to do this again sometime.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I think this is great. And congratulations to you. Really, really, really and truly, it's necessary. Thank you.
No, thank you. Well, thank you everyone for listening. As I say, if you want to tune in to my radio show, it's on Bobo FM 89.1 every Thursday at 2 p.m. And then the episodes are on the podcast at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And you can find them available on demand for free on Spotify, Apple, Google, and other platforms. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for listening to Shuvra Deb with you. And please do tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Bobo FM 89.1 for more topics related to and relevant to mental health. If any of you would like to reach out to me directly about any of the issues I've discussed, please do email me at shuvradeb82@gmail.com. That's spelt SHUVRADEB, the numbers 82@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening.